Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Cure for the Common Game. Today, in deck number 473, we're going to talk about Kadena, Slinking Sorcerer. Well, let's see. What do we got? Black, green, blue. I'm kind of fuzzy on those. Is that soul tie? I don't know. Anyway, 3/3. The first face-down creature you cast each turn costs 3 less to cast, so that makes it free. Whenever a face-down creature enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card. So this is, I'll admit, Morph has not been my favorite mechanic, but I really kind of enjoyed building this one, and I look forward to playing it. Now, I love the way that first ability is worded. The first face-down creature you cast each turn costs 3 less. So, if you can find a way to give all your cards flash, you can abuse this ability by dropping one on everybody's turn for the free. And as you know, the free is our favorite mana cost. So, the first card, I don't have a Voldakan Ore. It would be perfect for the deck, but its rise in popularity has also propagated a rise in price. So, we just got ley lines back, so I'm using the blue ley line here. Kind of fits. Honestly, the deck probably wants both. Now, another interaction that I personally love is Allurin. Now, Allurin does work for any player. Sorry, guys, I just woke up. It does work for any player, but you get to play the morph for the free at the instant speed. Not just one, all of them. So, really like Allurin. Now, it's really, really hard for me to play Allurin without playing Recycle. Believe it or not, way back in Tempest, those were actually in the same precon deck together. You could go to your LGS and buy, I don't know the name of that precon, but you got an Allurin and a Recycle in the same deck. Allurin Recycle was a thing for a long time. To me, it still is. So, you're not always going to have the Allurin or the Recycle. That's fine. But that was first impression where I went with it. Now, Trail of Mysteries, or Trail of Mystery, whenever a face-down creature enters the battlefield under your control, you search for a basic and put it in your hand. So, hey, plus it's got that last line there. Turn face up, it gets +2/+2. So, with Trail of Mystery, what's going to happen is if we get the Allurin thing off, or even the ley line, and we're doing it on everybody's turn, if we have the Trail of Mysteries, our hand is going to fill up with land. And that's why I'm running that Summer Bloom. Love me some Summer Bloom. Which I guess that pivots right into our ramp category, doesn't it? So, Obscuring Ether. Your face-down creature spells cost 1 less to cast. Now, I think I have 32 face-down creature spells, or creatures with morph, and then some of those make tokens and whatnot, and so that's gonna. And in a pinch here, you can turn this face down. I don't foresee a need to do that. If I was running blink effects, maybe to save it from a naturalized type thing. But also running Dream Chisel, which was one card I was really surprised was not in the precon. Because it's not overpowered. It has that beautiful 2 mana cost, so it's playable off of your Soul Ring. I don't have a Soul Ring in this deck, but it is playable. I mean, it's what am I calling it? A Morph Medallion. So the artifacts that I do have: Fountain of Ichor, Sultai Banner, Golgari Locket. Now, also have Rampant Growth, Farseek, Tempt with Discovery. Now, here again, Tempt with Discovery is, we all know, never, ever, ever be tempted by any of the Tempt cards. However, we also know that if we cast it at the absolute correct time, we can actually tempt people. It seems like in a 4-player game, there's always at least one person who is not getting the mana they want. And if you can wait for that moment, they'll take the tempt. And then you're getting, if nobody takes it, it's a terrible card. But even if one person takes it, it moves from terrible to outstanding. And then, of course, the Quarcy Deceiver. I like this one. It's a blue mana dork. Yeah. And it's a 0/4, so it blocks a little better than your average elf. Now, card draw, Sign and Blood, Urban Evolution, and I'm counting Secret Plans as card draw. I jumped out there when they were spoiling this, and it was before we knew Secret Plans was in the deck, and I knew that I was probably going to need some Secret Plans, so I jumped out and bought a few copies. As it turns out, it was in the deck. But face-down creatures you control get 0/1, and then when a permanent you control is turned face-up, you draw a card. So there's quite a few card draw interactions built into the deck, so that's why I didn't put a whole lot of actual card drawing spells in the deck. So let's look at some morph creatures, shall we? There's a bunch of them. These are in no particular order until we get to the end, but so we're just gonna Monastery Lore Master. Now, a lot of these are just, I'm not using any manifest cards. I have been able to, through building this deck, it actually taught me something that I called myself not liking the face down mechanic, but as it turns out, I like morph, and Megamorph is okay, but it was the manifest that I really, really don't like. I'm using the original art for Chrome Shell Crab. I don't know why. Misfire Weaver. A lot of these are just plain creatures that, and some of them, like the Spell Snatcher here, actually do a thing. Counters a spell. Now, a Thelanite Hermit, turning face up, getting those 4 sap tokens, that's a thing. That's an important thing that we'll get to later. Because, yeah, we got 32 morph creatures, which is, that's pretty heavy. But the more creatures, the better, right? 1,000 Winds. Return all of the tapped creatures to their owner's hands. That's pretty sweet. Liege of the Pit. Now, the reason why, I'll be honest with you, the reason why Liege of the Pit is in here is because nobody's ever going to expect it. Right? Yeah. It's just one of those cards that, nobody's expecting. And you can get out of that upkeep like the first time. You cast it as a face down morph. You wait until your next turn. You're past your upkeep. It's not sick anymore. So yeah, that's why. And because Cloud Scraper, the two of those we are in our experience. Our collective Magic playing experience teaches us that, and some people actually teach the phrase, all face-down creatures are willbenders. Well, this deck, having so many morph creatures, is just, it really puts the game on tilt. Not just a certain opponent, because nobody knows. Nobody knows if you're going to morph up a Bane of the Living and just kill everything, or have a 13/13, or I mean, counterspell. It's those things that, because you are playing with way more hidden information than anybody else at the table is. And that is kind of what I like. It's now, granted, it can get, I can see where it would get confusing, where you've got, 5 or 6 morphs out there. Oh, by the way, if Magic Online is probably the greatest I've ever seen at actually a morph board state. Technically, the first morph creature that you cast is called morph number 1, and then morph number 2, and it's important distinctions, because if somebody gets to peek at, say you've got 5 morph creatures, and they get to look at one, then they know what that is. They know what that morph creature is, even when it goes back face down, or if something is turned face up and then turned face down, everybody knows. So we have to mark it. And the easiest way to what Magic Online does is actually have morph number 1, number 2, number 3. So what I'm probably going to do is get those fancy morph tokens that we got in that block and just write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. However, how many am I going to need, really? There's our Willbender. Yeah. Have to have Willbender in there. I thought about not doing it simply because it's so iconic, and everybody expects it, but it's Willbender. I mean, gots to, right? So that's the thing. I'm blowing through these, y'all can see, because they all do different things. They're all pretty much morph tutus. Now, these last 2 morph ones, Vesuvian Shapeshifter, of course, got new art here. But, and we're stacking up, so I gotta. Vesuvian Shapeshifter was from Time Spiral Block, and, it's kind of like the random clone variants that they do for every set. And I don't think they realized the combo in the set they were doing. So, Or is turned face up. You may choose another creature on the battlefield. If you do, until it's turned face down, it becomes a copy of that creature, except it has, at the beginning of your upkeep, you can flip it over. You can turn it face down. Its morph cost is 2. Now, what it copies is Brine Elemental. Yes, it's Pickles. They call it the Pickles Lock or the Pickles Combo, because you played them both face down, and then, or when you play the Shapeshifter face down, the Brine Elemental, it didn't really matter how you cast it. When it's turned face up, each opponent skips his or her next untap step. Well, because of the way that the Vesuvian Shapeshifter is worded, once you flip it over and you announce it's a Brine Elemental, it actually was a Brine Elemental as it was turning face up, so your opponents skip their untap step. This is a personal stasis lock, essentially, except you're not affected. It just affects your opponents. Now, yeah, that is kind of a little degenerate for casual EDH. I'm aware, but it's a morph deck. I mean, it's a morph deck with blue in it. I kind of figured I had to do it here. So the reason so many creatures got the Epic Struggle, and the Epic Struggle is actually, what does Bob Ross say? A happy coincidence, because my first thing was stack up all the morph creatures I can get. Okay, this is the morph creatures I'm going to play, and then I had the Leyline in there anyway. Now, the downside with Epic Struggle is if you've got the creatures on the board, Number one, everybody's probably gunning for you anyway if you've got 20 creatures on the board. You've either won or are going to win. But here, well, there's a good chance they're all going to be 2/2s. You know what I'm saying? Uh, so if you've got all of it, if you've got the creatures and the epic struggle, you're probably just dead before your next turn. Or somebody's board wiping the creatures, or somebody's getting rid of the epic struggle. Something is happening. But with this deck, the ability to, at the end of the turn before, your board state looks normal, and at the end of the turn before, you can flash out the epic struggle, or you can do the allure and face down thing and get there just pretty much at instant speed at the end of the turn before yours, and untap, upkeep. Hey guys, I got 22 creatures and an epic struggle. Play again. Running Ixodron. Ixodron is, I mean, it's really, really good. Not running Ixodor. I think the logic behind me not running Ixodor is that I don't have another one, if I'm not mistaken. I looked and I just didn't have one. But this is, he is really, I say he, this is an illusion. But Ixodron comes in. That's really, really close to a board wipe. I mean, if your opponent's got, indestructible protections, hexproof, stuff that you can't deal with, big stuff. And hey, this is kind of the big stuff format, right? It just turns them all 2/2 vanillas. They become Nilla wafers. So, you Grizzly Bear the table, and then he comes really, really big. Let's look at our non-morph. Oh, nope. Got another morph thing. I love this space. I love the space of things that aren't creatures with morph. Which is weird because that's why I don't like Manifest. But, yeah, it's a 5-mana aura. But the morph cost is mana free. I like when they do the alternate cost. Back when they were doing original set design years ago, was there were 3 sets in a block. You had a big set and then two sets that kind of kept along the same things. Tempest Stronghold, Exodus, to Mirage Visions, Weatherlight, Mercadian Mass Nemesis, that kind of thing. So each block, most of the time what they would do is in the first set for that block, the big set, which is generally the fall set, they would introduce the mechanics, and in the 2 following, they would like flesh those out and do like alternate ways to do that mechanic. Like here, morph started as mana payment, flip it over. And then they got into other cost, sacking creatures, revealing cards, stuff like that. And I think that's cool. And I love the fact that, oh, you're going to kill my 2/2? Well, I'm going to morph it. And you can't kill it now because it is an enchantment. It's stuck to my commander that has Death Touch Indestructible, which is probably where this is going, right? Overrun is in there because, let's face it, it's Overrun and it's a creature deck. Worst case scenario, your teams are all 5/5 tramples. I like 5/5 trample. I like 5/5 trample a lot. Got a regrowth because it's an amazing card and I love it, and I play it probably way too much. To be honest with you, we got regrowth again in Horizons, and I think I'm already out. Removal. Now, I do count negate as removal, counter magic. Most of the time, what the negate is going to do is to protect, what you've got going. Now, I know Back to Nature looks really, really funny in a deck that has alert and recycle, anticipate, things like that. Uh, but let's face it, we're not always going to have those. And enchantments, I firmly believe, I love adding removal. I mean, if everybody at the table gets to sit down and do their thing unimpeded, then it becomes an arms race of who can do it the fastest. And that is not what casual EDH is about. I mean, it's about everybody at the table having a good time, whatever. But removal is so important to me. It just really is. I would say most games I have ever lost, which is actually probably most of them, because I lose way much. It's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy, if you will. I'm the EDH guy, and everybody knows it. So when I sit down, I get gunned for, which is fine. I'm cool with it. But most games I have lost has been because of the inability to deal with a permanent. It has. Casualties of War, Naturalize, Putrefy, Doomblade, Diabolic Edict to get those hexproofy things, and Sultai. It is Sultai. Now, I like this one. I like this one a lot. I can see using all three of those charms. That's how I kind of, charms. Technically, there's a charm that I could put in every single deck, but if I'm only going to use one of the charm modes, then it kind of stops being a charm. If I'm only ever going to use the same mode every time, but now, unless I have done that in the past, I'm sure y'all have seen some decks that if there is a mode on a charm that is not very normal or not very printed, then I will use it. But here, I can actually see me using all three modes. Now we're going to get into the non-basic lands. We're going to start with Zoetic Cavern, because a morph land is just cool anyway. I mean, it can provide that extra creature if we need it. Flip it over, tap it for mana. Haha, you can't kill my thing now because it's no longer a creature, it's a land. And we're going to blow through most of these. Terramorphic, Transgill, Opulent. Opal Palace, I figured why not. Bounces, Refuge, Bone, Dismal Backwater, Dimir Guildgate, Frostmarsh, Jungle Hollow, Golgari Gate, Golgari Farm, Simic Growth Chamber, Woodland Stream. Whoa, I can't even hold cards. Simic Guildgate, Skyshroud Forest, Evolving Wilds, and of course our Rose Passage. Because y'all know it wouldn't be me without a Rose Passage. So that is what I have got for Kadena. I'll admit, when I started building it, I was like, I don't know how I'm going to feel about this, but I'm actually really looking forward to playing this one. I guess mainly because I have... Oh, you know what I need to do? I need to get the morph tokens and put in here while I'll roll over here. What set was that in? Cons. Cons are the morph tokens. So we're going to get morph tokens. I don't know how many we'll need, so we'll just get that many. I'll number them when we actually play. I figure I shouldn't need more than that, right? How much is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I guess in theory I should get 20. But it's just what it is. Anyway. That's Kadena. I like it. 473. Let's take it home. Whoop. Oh, I messed up my arc there. Okay, doke. 473 is done. Never thought I'd build a morph deck, you know? I never really thought that. I wonder what other weird mechanics from years past that they can. Because it seems like that's what they're doing. There's a whole bunch. Have you noticed? It looks like that Eldraine is that block there. I have started the Eldraine decks, getting the sleeves and the boxes labeled. It looks like Eldraine it's going to have more legendary creatures than a commander set. Because from what it looks like now, and I don't know, it may have been announced, from what it looks like to me, there's going to be 2 rare, 1 uncommon per color, per monocolor. So that's 15 just in monocolor. And then the multicolor ones are going to be in the Brawl deck. So there's 4 of those. I think we have the total contents of the Brawl deck. Yeah, because they were released on Arena. So if that holds true, that's 19. Wow. But now, don't let it fool you. Regardless of what's printed on the set, there's 333 cards in Eldraine, counting the Planeswalker deck cards and the Brawl deck cards, which some of those will matter. Some of those will matter in other formats. I mean, they're definitely going to matter in our format. But doing stuff like Brawl and stuff like the Commander, I kind of wonder, like, are they going to do like an old buyback legend? That'd be cool. You know, I don't know, give all your spells buyback equal their cash. I don't know how that would work. Not a designer. I just build decks. Anyway, I appreciate y'all watching. Y'all let me know what you think. But I think right now we're going to shuffle. Oh, before I say that, because once I say that, I have to click and we stop. But have you noticed the new logo? I think the logo is right there now. It's invisible to me because I can't see it. But got a new logo. It's actually a logo of my own. It's kind of simple, but trying to get a little more, whatever. I don't want to say professional because I'm still not going to script and I'm still not going to edit because that's kind of what I do. But anyway, I appreciate y'all watching. Y'all let me know what you think. And if you've got any ideas for the 500th, because you see how close we're getting, and we've got 2, 6, 8 more decks from Commander 19. And my goal is to get those 8 decks done before we get into Eldraine. I don't know if that'll be possible. I'm still missing a deck from last year. Last year, I have one deck that I think is what's the blue-red guy? He's here. Tawnos. Still have Tawnos to finish from last year. So I don't want to do that anymore. And I'm trying to go backwards and get all that done. But got to get C19 done before Eldraine comes. And because Eldraine is going to be... Now, I do feel like that Eldraine, there are certain sets, like the Commander sets, there are, because there's not many new cards, if you will. In a Commander set, there's normally, 60 cards or something, 60, 70 new cards. But in Eldraine, we're going to have 333 new cards-ish. There may be some reprints, whatnot, but I believe those decks will be a lot more self-contained, if you understand what I'm saying. They'll use a lot more cards from that set than, like, obviously, we just built the Morph one. There's mostly cards from Khan's block, Onslaught block, and Time Spiral block, because those were the 3 Morph blocks. So that's 3, 6, 9. And then the Commander makes 10. So roughly 10 sets is where that deck comes from. So anyway, I'm rambling again, aren't I? Anyway, I'm going to let y'all go. Thank y'all for watching so much. But right now, it is time to shuffle. and cut.